started with music like everyone else, man, just listening normally in school and everything. Um, quite some time back, I was in my eighth, including one right now, so that's pretty long time back. I remember getting some REM stuff when I was a kid, and it was awesome, man. It sounded good. Started getting more into it. By college, I'd met similar people. I'd met Ashwin Dutt, I'd met Vaibhav Karale, and some other people who were all in the same sphere, and you good friends. One thing led to another. It was just, I mean, forming a band was just the next step. So we got together as Rodentia. It was a kick-ass band. We did like some 2-3 shows in some fuck all places, acted like rock stars, smoked some pot, had some good times, man. And eventually, just I've always been a news person. I was working with Midday for a while. I was working with Express for a while. So just generally, being involved with what's happening, at least knowing about it. ये show हो रहा है, this is happening, that's where it's happening. All that's been happening, and slowly one thing led to another, and I started enemy.com in 2004. It was just some time that, I mean, you guys will probably come across it. It's when you're 25 or 26 or something, and you just you want to do something other than just do your job. So I got in touch with people on GigPad, and hi, I want to organize a show, and I didn't know how to go about it. So the idea was to just do a show and pay for it, pay for everything, because I had absolutely zero idea how you go about getting an event done. So I just put up something on GitPad saying these are the bands we're looking at. We're looking at doing a punk tribute to Nirvana, which was the first show that we did, 8th April 2004, and we would like punk bands to come and talk to us. And those days there was just two names from the Bombay scene that was around. One was Tripwire. I hadn't heard of them. I just heard about them. I hadn't heard the music. And I'd seen the Limit Breaks perform that year, 2003 ka IIT Bombay. These guys came on stage two-piece, drummer, guitarist, vocalist, two boys on stage at the IIT LMS. Lots of crowd, and they're asking people from the crowd, whoever wants to come up and play bass with them. I thought that was fantastic. The kind of songs that they did, very pop, emo kind of stuff, good fun. It was a refreshing change from whatever other music was happening that time. So then we got the Tripwire boys involved, we got Limit Breaks involved, we got Euthanium, which was Lionel Mascarena's his band that time. I think we also had Chaos Theory, I'm not sure. I think they came and played one song or something like that. And it was a superb success. Raz, there was Jayesh at Raz, who's now working with Sony BMG. One of the finest managers Raz has had, very supportive of the local scene, who said, dude, why are you paying for shit? We'll support you, we'll pay for sound, Raz will chip in, whatever money comes, we split halfways and things like that, which were fantastic news to me as a organizer, that there is somebody ready to support all this. So we did that, and the show was a superb success. We had a beautiful turnout. Uh, I think everyone walked away with about 3,000 bucks. This is after the Raz share and all. Those days, this was pretty good money for a gig. And considering that there were 4 or 5 bands on the bill, everyone walking away with something like 3,000 is decent money. Obviously, next step was to do a lot more shows. Um, I've always been a very, I like promoting bands. I like promoting whatever I'm listening to or whatever I like. I liked Require said. Asked them if they wanted a manager. They said yes. Things got rolling. Soon we were doing Pankuramas, and only because of people like Jayesh and Raz, who were so comfortable with giving us space. There used to be shows every Thursday at Raz in those days. 50 bucks you have to pay to get it. So we just took over the Thursdays. We told him, ठीक है, मेरे को next Thursday भी चाहिए, next Thursday भी चाहिए, next Thursday भी चाहिए. So 4, 5 Thursdays, and there were Pankuramas happening over there, man. So there were some nights punk bands which came along the way, which we met, and also other alternative and other kind of bands as well. So we met Asshole, which was a fantastic band. It's one of the best punk bands I've seen from India ever. Um, None of them are doing music now, I believe. They eventually changed their name to Grossing Decency, then Sean started singing for them. But this was the original lineup with Leon and all. So we met them, we met Neeraj Trivedi, he got a band together called Hedge of the Sonic, which was fantastic. They used to do some beautiful hardcore stuff. They used to do some minor threat, things like that, no effects. So it was good. There was a tiny buzz happening, and eventually there were days when we were walking home with $100 after a gig because there weren't any people there, and whoever was there, we didn't want to charge them. So we said, okay, fine, fuck it, ये सब guest list में. And it was like a free kind of a party where people are coming and listening to some punk music, be it 20 people or be it 200 people, and it was a good vibe, man. Then we started working on the first compilation, We Are the Scene One. Again, the response was very surprising because I had a very bad image in those days, coming from my past and being involved in fights and stealing and drugs and all these things that you do when you're a kid. So it was very surprising to put out a message saying that we're trying to do a compilation and interested bands can just send me their stuff or contact us. There was Bhayanak Moth on that CD. There was, which was again very surprising because of the entire metal, unmetal kind of a vibe that we had going. But there were some super bands. There was Exhumation on the CD. There was some very good bands. Man, there was this very nice band from Delhi called Colorfuls. They were on the CD, and it was a kick-ass CD. We had Sharpnel from Bangalore. That's something that we did completely on our own. We went in. Now there we didn't know anyone who makes a CD, so typical kid stuff, going around to Jumbo Xerox and asking, hi, मेरे को CD बनाना है कैसे करते हैं? मेरे को I don't do that shit. Eventually finding out someone who's a cheap ass wedding card printer. Idea was also to promote young artists or people interested in creative art to do with music, to give them a space, come do the artwork, do your stuff without any interference from our end. It's your art, we promote you. So the first artwork, which was sort of done on paint and stuff by Kailash Iyer. But I loved it, man. It was a kick-ass artwork. It was what he wanted to do, and we supported that. We went ahead, we got the CDs printed, we did a launch concert. No, we didn't do a launch concert. We just launched the CD at Resurrection. I think we went there to sell CDs. The first Resurrection CD. We were like, "Hi, please also buy the other CD." Obviously, we've never really ever thought about making our money back. That by we, I mean me and my wife had to, both of us have put in whatever money whenever together for Enemy Got Born. Idea was never being from the scene and being involved with everything around you, know that बिकने नहीं वाला है वो उस पर तू काउंट नहीं कर सकता to make back your money and shit like that. So we had given up on the investment as a thing that yeah है पैसा नहीं है कुछ obligation, let's spend it here. So the beautiful part came out of giving the CDs free, giving it to people who wanted to listen to it and shit. I still do that. I have lots of CDs which I keep giving people free because end of the day, it's going out to some guy who's interested in the music. Probably is a fuck all guy because he doesn't want to buy it, but that doesn't make him bad. And that's what happened, man. I'm talking too much, I believe.
No, you should. You should talk much. Uh, what were the problems that you faced during that time regarding, even if it was organizing a show or even just calling up bands and all? Apart from that, what other problems did you face in the scene?
Um, I think when I started doing it, the vibe was very beautiful. There were a lot of people supporting it, a lot of people also supporting punk. also supporting Tripwire and stuff like that. Which is when an important thing in the Bombay scene happened. The whole Kippa and Uday Dutt shit happened around those days. I don't know if you're aware of it. There was a fake ID created on Kippa called Uday Dutt. This guy used to just go around putting people down. Your fuckball, this is happening. Chutyagiri, lot of Chutyagiri until the entire community was, who the fuck is this guy? We want to find out. People were searching IPs and whatever crap was happening. And that was some tripwire, some friend or something. So, it's like an engine off. Suddenly everyone started hating tripwire. You guys are fucking assholes. Gigs are not happening. Impressions are down. That I think was the biggest, which I think is a kiddish shit for a band to do or for anyone to do. But frankly, I mean, those guys were probably what 20 or something that time or 18 and shit. But it was just a big bummer because you just started off, you're doing something good. They played IROC that year, they played GIR that year, which was a huge surprise to everyone. Um, so I think it's these kind of random shit. Otherwise, we just got a beautiful, fabulous, very favorable support from the government. Only downside has been money wherever. Like for example, for stupidities, it cost us a lot more because the production on the CDs, it's worth a lot. They're getting a sponsor, even though we had Bhargavas giving us some money, we had Prospect giving us some money. It obviously wasn't enough. So there was times when we had to take a loan and pay it off. So probably money is the only thing the wastage so far.
In the past so many years, what changes have you seen in the scene and what improvements have been in the scene?
Um, One thing that's awesome which is happening now is bands are bands have probably realized that just counting on a those days there were no managers. It was just a very new trend. Having someone as your manager or having someone manage your business. Bands have started realizing the importance of taking themselves seriously. Now, if you think you're a truth, you're probably a truth. The idea is that a band now knows how to market itself better than what it used to do in those days. The importance of original music is really evolved. There used to be gigs where we used to go to when we were kids, and it used to be an evening of covers, dude. It used to be there are 5 bands on the bill, and I'm talking IROX at Run Bhavan, and that kind of concerts. Where a band like Chakraview comes on stage on first day, first band is Chakraview, and they come and say that I want to do an all original set, and people are throwing bottles at them like mother chode, fuck off. No one wants to hear originals, except if you were like a Millennium or fuck full power. Brahma and everyone, all these bands. So there used to be these classic great bands from Calcutta side who used to come and deep vocal songs, Pink Floyd songs, and you had some metal bands coming into some metal Metallica kind of things. So that has evolved. Now people know that I don't want to listen to stuff unless you worked on it and given it your touch. I'll just pick up a CD or I'll just importance of original music and the online shit which is very favorable. I think for bands who don't have money, internet is the best medium to get your music out, your album out, whatever. If you've got it recorded, just put it out, man. It's a super way. You don't even know where all your stuff can reach. Just because it's out there, it's accessible to people. So that's something that's really happened for the positive.
And what are your opinions on the mainstream or the commercial music that happens also in the scene?
See, it's part of the music culture. You can't isolate something and say, ki, okay, now in this city we will only go for rock shows. Because that's not giving the consumer a choice. I might not want to go for a Bollywood night somewhere, but there are people out there, and believe it or not, face it or not, it is big, yeah, it is huge, man. People associated from the rock industry who are now working in Bollywood, they are getting fantastic money, dude. It's a great career option. You're still playing the guitar, right? And getting paid lots for it. Why not? It's better than going to work every day in a tie and doing e-learning. So, yeah,
That's a,
yeah.
so, in the past so many years now, since can you tell us what was the reason behind not exactly publishing Stupidities 3 as a CD and getting it out?
So where did he school you?
Yeah, two. Sorry. Right.
No money. I got married by that time. There's a house loan, there's car loan, there's whatever kind of loan. So no money, frankly. And till date, there have been 7,000 plus downloads, which is not what has happened in Stupidity 1. It's a great CD. I'm an old school guy. I love owning CDs. I hate downloading and picking it up and listening to it. Unless it is an online release. So, getting MP3s, it's awesome to check it out, check out the music. But if given a choice, I would pick up a CD. I frankly just didn't have any budgets. And the kind of reach it's given me, 7,000 plus downloads. People from Slovakia or countries' names I can't even pronounce have downloaded the album. Being the whole Indian unmetal vibe, there's been a lot of interest online about the whole thing, which is great. Hence, for Stupidities 3, we want to do it again with Indecision. That's going to happen this year. Let's see, we'll squeeze out some money, make some CDs and give them off.
The whole point of that question was because, as you said, the Stupidities 1 compilation disc had an amazing inlays and kick-ass work done on it. With Popcorn's
Popcorn's
Revenge.
Revenge.
Yeah.
Who was that guy?
This awesome guy, kick-ass taste in music. He's now working for GQ. His name is Sachin Shetty. We had a band together called VCR. We lasted for 2 practices. It was a punk rock band with Ashwin Dutt, Sachin Shetty, one more guy, and me. I was singing for them. And he's got a great bend of mind, man. He's got a very creative thing.
He's currently working for
GQ magazine.
GQ magazine.
Because we saw his Bombay Electric project.
Yeah, that's
posters
also.
all as well online.
Yeah,
That's brilliant.
yeah.
So, what do you think has been your biggest achievement in the past year? Yeah, that's LinkedIn now.
Biggest achievement so far probably, I don't know, would be I would say doing the first show, man. The very first show that we ever did, because it got it every started.
That's it. You don't see that much.
History of questions लिखा नहीं है. Okay, can you tell us about from your experience what are the changes that you see 10 years before and today in the music scene as functions?
Just to you about it, that online and all that stuff.
Nice. Tell us about the lack of women in the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
But, yeah, that's-
that question was supposed to be there with your wife. That's right. See, women as such, there are not many artists on stage. Is a funda in Indian scene at least. Tell us what do you think about that?
See,
Why is that
Aditi, my wife, she used to play with Nipple the Pizza. She used to play bass. That was Ashwin Dutt, Vaibhav Parale, and Aditi. They did some few shows. They were superb. They were beautiful. They were a kick-ass punk band. Lots of originals, anti-cop songs, songs against elders. Very very kid stuff, but good fun. She got some superb response when they played IIT, and the sound engineer was like, "I've never seen a woman on stage. Please, everyone, give her a standing ovation." And so it's been good, yeah. And eventually in Envy.com, what Aditi helps bring about is is a sense of stability. I'm a very rash person, so understanding decisions, what you're doing, why you're doing it. Plus, also she's got her own way of handling the business side of it, the whole suggestions, which also is a superb area for women to be a part of. Huh? In the whole music business or the music industry or the indie music scene or whatever you want to call it. Now, anyways, there are lots of women doing music for a living. There are women singers. There's people like Monica and all who are doing great for themselves, acting in movies and getting bigger. There are also lots of musicians coming on board who are playing drums or who are playing guitar and stuff. So it's slowly evolving, man. But women should also come forward, and if you're not a musician but you're interested in music, that doesn't mean that's the end of the road for you. There's a lot more you can do for a band. Uh, manage your business, probably handle PR for a band. All these things. And there are some kick-ass women managers in the country today. So
Can you, in this entire conversation that we are having, you have mentioned a lot of bands which even I have not heard of. A lot of bands which are basically punk and alternative bands which I sadly have not heard of. So, can you tell us about some particular bands which, didn't, make it, as in, didn't play much after playing few shows? And
I feel most sad about Messiah. That's one band I'm sure you've heard about them. They had a kick-ass album out. I remember this one punk show that we did called Bad Ideas. It eventually was a bad idea. We got them down from Delhi. Obviously, Delhi से आने का खर्चा नहीं है बहुत. It's a fuck scene. So these boys have travelled in the general compartment from Delhi. They have a girl with them, but they've come that way, sitting near the loo and shit, just to play the show. They've come here, the vocalist is supposed to fly in on the day of the show because he had some work commitments or whatever going on. He flies in on the day of the show. He has to fly out the same night at 10:15 because he's got something else lined up in Delhi. So finally, by the time they got on stage and played, they hardly played for some 15 minutes, some 3 songs. I feel most bad that these guys didn't make it because I thought they were a super band. I recently heard rumors that they've started jamming again. They want to come back together. I think that's brilliant because that's one set of musicians I really admire, and I think they make some superb music. Kinky Ski Monkey was another band that was a kick-ass superb band. And these were days when I was very good friends with the band. My best friends of some of my very good friends are from the band. So I used to hang out with them a lot and obviously get to know their internal band fights and things like that. And it was bizarre because that was a time when I was not managing bands and shit, but probably had that bent of mind. So you could see that, dude, don't do this. It's gonna fuck up your band. I'm gonna fire you. You're a fuckball vocalist. I'm gonna fuck your happiness. You're a fuckball turner. You're not a fucking rock star yet. Don't do all this crap. Do it when you become big. And some of the big rock stars stick around, man. So that's I think what fucked them up. I hope they come back together. I'm going to one week to check out Dog Age Disco because it's got Siddharth and Ashwin from there. There was also, like I mentioned, Limit Breaks. It was, I mean, that band was probably perfect for the Northeast, man. Because there's a huge emo scene in the Northeast. My Chemical Romance and whatever kind of music is a big hit that side. And they were superb, man. They were very cute, and they played some good ass tunes. I just wish that they recorded something. In fact, they're there on the other scene one. You should check out their song. Superb, good fun.
And many of these bands that you're mentioning, do they have like recorded stuff out there? Or
See, that was another bummer that time. There was there was only Throatlat Studios in Bombay, which was ₹2,500 ka ek gana, which was again like fuck $2,500. I don't know how I'm gonna arrange that kind of money. And that was a bummer in those days. Slowly now musicians have started downloading softwares and recording their own songs, doing it at home, which is great. So sadly, which is why there's not a lot of recorded music from that era. I really wish we could have had something from Asshole, man. That was another super band.
Two songs, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, tell us about your current job and what do you see. You know, how do you see helping yourself in the scene right now?
My current job, I'm working with Rolling Stone magazine as I'm handling your events and marketing and things like that for them. It's very nice, and I probably think I've got the job because of having done whatever in the past. So it's great because you're just working with people who understand what's happening. There are no false things in front of their eyes. There is more clarity. They are more real. It, you're working with people like Pentagram, for example. You're working with people like Uday Benegal and the Golden Khilafas and Mahesh Denaikar. You're working with people like Metro, people like Sandeep Chowta. All these people who are very sorted in life as far as their music careers are going. They know that it's a job at the end of the day. But there is a whole music element to it, which is obviously the key, the backbone, the whole reason why they are in that job. And they take it very seriously, man. I really like that a lot.
There's been a lot of debate about this that uh, the, the people who are into rock and who are musicians and artists should concentrate only on that and leave other job that they might have, the day job, and get into that full time. What do you think about that? Is it
I don't
possible
think
in
so.
India?
I don't think so. I see, even with Enemy.com 2004, when I kicked it off, I was working with Tata Interactive Systems. I was doing instructional designing for them, instructional writing, I think, maybe that time. All these things that I used to manage bands, I eventually was managing 6 bands, doing shows, taking care of their travel requirement, booking shows, paisa nahi aaya hai, all these things are happening along with my job, which is something that all my jobs have, they've never stopped me because you get your work done at the end of the day and that's something that's paying you. It wasn't as if you're managing 6 months, so you're making 60 grand a month just off that. That's not gonna happen. Um, I don't think if you have an idea in your head about managing bands, releasing a CD, making a career in music, playing guitar, whatever, that you should leave your job or सब कुछ छोड़ के start doing. I don't think you should do that. I think what you should do is keep doing it at the side as much as you can manage. Once you see it becoming lucrative enough, once you see it, sorry, that's my mate. Lucrative enough, once there's some money flowing your way and you're sorted, you know that there is a certain amount of money going to come to you every month and you're willing to take that risk, go for it. Don't quit your job before that.
Uh, you have traveled with the bands as well to other cities
Yeah.
and as manager. As a manager, can you tell us what how exactly how should I think this? Yeah, can you tell us what kind of differences have you seen in other cities compared to Bombay? Whether it's in Delhi, as an audience as well as the organizers and event managers.
See, I've always seen one thing is for sure, any city that any band plays in where not played that much often. There are a few people in the audience who are really curious about the band who once the songs kick in and they are enjoying, they're totally there with the band. There are obviously going to be the hecklers, the people who don't give a shit, who are there to have fun, get drunk, whatever. But overall, I think Bombay is a difficult audience to please. You there's just something that works with a Bombay audience and something that doesn't work with a Bombay audience. So Delhi, on the other hand, is a very, very like nice. You know, if they don't like you, they'll be like, if they love you, they'll be like, wow. So that's the difference.
Okay. And like Bangalore and stuff like
Bangalore, I didn't frankly like the crowd there. They just, I don't know, I found them very rowdy. If I say. Maybe I was at the wrong show, but I didn't frankly like the crowd that much. Like they were less of listening and more of doing your stuff.
what has been the most difficult part for you as a manager? Whether it was, getting the band across to another city to play or, just getting shows over here, recording, anything like that.
Both man, both, and getting bands to record is a bitch, dude. All my bands were lazy fuckers. So, getting a Medusa guy, go Baba, do something, do something. Everyone will take their own sweet time. And you know that boss, if I had one more recording with me, it would kick ass because you're not doing shows. There aren't any shows happening. You need something to get the buzz around that your band is still around. You need.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
So, yeah, so all these, as a manager or as somebody to promote the band, that you need something constructive from a band. That takes a lot of time to happen sometimes because all bands they work at their own pace. So that was a very difficult thing. Getting them to do anything which involves recording and which involves money, which I also understand because it also costs money. So that's been really tough.
Because again, like bands like Medusa and Split and such kind of bands have been playing all across the cities and in India most of the cities and stuff. Medusa is still playing, but Split, Tripwire also not much shows now. So have you been in touch with them after stop managing
I've,
them?
I've, I've been in touch with them, and the only reason I decided to stop managing bands was because I just joined Rolling Stone and there was a gig we were planning where we were considering to get Medusa on. So as part of the Rolling Stone events team, I knew I had only this much money to pay a band. As Medusa's manager, I knew that my band will not play this show for this much money, but it's a kick-ass show for them to play because it's a Rolling Stone gig. There'll be a lot of PR involved. It's good visibility for my band. The right kind of people will be there. So what was happening was I was negotiating with myself. Like, you know, I'm talking to the manager of Medusa, who's me. So it was pretty bizarre. And I frankly didn't want to do that. So said it's only better. And this obviously, I've been in touch with the band. There is obviously whatever promotional support. I've only managed bands who I like. So if I'm not managing them, doesn't mean that suddenly I've switched off them or I don't like them anymore. It's wherever they fit a Rolling Stone gig or wherever we can promote them and wherever we think it's good music, I'll keep doing that, man. Medusa has played like some 2-3 shows with Rolling Stone. Wherever possible, we would love to do that. There was a strike in Hyderabad, some auto strike or whatever strike. Turnout is affected. There were there must be about 200 people at the gig. That was the longest set I've ever seen, and Medusa is a very lazy band. You put them on stage, they do their 9-10 songs and they just get off. They say bye and they get off. Okay. And you keep wanting for more and you're like, I do play for some more. That show they played for about 1.5 hours, which is the longest set I've seen them play. And these 200 people, this was the new electronic Medusa and the electronic sounds that they're doing. These 200 people are totally focused and included in, and it's a gathering. It was like a cocoon. These 200 people and Medusa on stage totally vibing with each other. And you're just standing at the back or at the side having a smoke or sipping on wine and you're like, dude, this is a kick-ass show. I just wish there were some more people here. So that was good fun, and we ended up ordering lots of beers because they were for free, but we didn't drink them. So we just ordered.
Just ordered and kept it inside.
Yeah, man, we had to check out. We thought all of us will stay out, smoke some, drink some, whatever. Everyone was canned. We were drinking in the afternoon. So
You've been to Eastern Festival also, right?
yeah, man.
Tell us about the experience there.
Oh, Eastern was superb. It was just very beautiful place to be in. It's very. I don't think they paid the bands whatever they were supposed to give, which is fair. I understand that because at least they took care of everyone's travel, took care of everyone's stay, and which in my eyes is a very fair price to pay for playing a festival of that kind. So it was this nice vibe where you went, and there were these three big industrial sort of barns, and there's music happening on each stage. So good fun. They had this nice bar over there, and you got to meet a lot of interesting people. You got to see a lot of interesting bands. Very nice. I'm really looking forward to this year, but I doubt I'll be able to make it.
What do you think where the scene, how the scene will grow in the next coming 5 to 2 years?
How the scene will grow superbly. I think right now is the best time to be involved with the Indian music scene from all perspectives. Whether you're in the music business or you're in the music industry making music, it's just the right time for you if you're good enough. If you have a talent, if you have a skill, it's just the right thing to do because just look at it. What's happening right now in the scene is this placebos coming down, this occupying trees coming down. Everyone internationally is now realizing India as a good market for music, and internationally also record labels who are involved as booking agents with your bands have realized that the only switch right now, they are not selling CDs that many. They are making it up with live shows, they are making it up with publishing, they are making it up with whatever other sources of revenue that they have. So the market is opening up. There's a lot more corporate people putting in money in music in India right now. Lot more people want to grab. Happy Fizz is the sponsor for IROC. That's a very beautiful sign that shows that a brand wants to associate something as niche as rock or music in India, which is great. There's the movie Rock On. I mean, people like it or don't like it's helped. There are a lot more people who are more receptive to rock now, post the movie, the kind of shows, the launch pads, the MTV Rock On shows which are going on. All the various sort of contests which are happening for bands with awesome prizes. And Hornbill probably gives away 5 lakh rupees to the winning band and shit like that. It's really good if you're a good musician and you believe in yourself. This is the right time to be a man.